The diplomatic gambit, the crystal spires of Valkyrie gleamed like frozen lightning against the purple sky as Captain Marcus. Kane's shuttle descended through the planet's shimmering atmosphere. He adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform, knowing this mission could either forge the most important alliance in human history or spark an interstellar war. The Valkyrians controlled the richest mining systems in 3 sectors, and their military prowess was legendary. Nervous, Captain asked his aide Lieutenant Torres, monitoring the atmospheric readings. Just focused, Marcus replied, though. His pulse quickened as towering structures of living crystal came into view. The architecture defied physics, with buildings that seemed to grow rather than being constructed. The landing platform materialized beneath them, formed from crystalline matter that shifted and flowed like liquid mercury. As the shuttle doors opened, Marcus stepped into air that tasted of electricity and distant storms. The gravity felt lighter here, making each movement feel almost graceful. A procession of Valkyrian guards approached, their armor appearing to be carved from single gems that caught and refracted light in impossible ways. They were tall, ethereal beings with skin that held hints of silver and eyes that glowed with inner fire. But none of them compared to the figure who emerged from the Crystal Palace. Queen Zara Nethys moved with the fluid grace of someone who commanded not just respect, but the very elements around her. Her silver hair flowed like liquid starlight, and her dress seemed woven from captured moonbeams. When she looked at Marcus, her violet eyes held intelligence sharp enough to cut diamond. Captain Kane, her voice carried harmonics that resonated in his chest. Welcome to Valkyrie. I trust your journey was comfortable. Your Majesty, Marcus bowed appropriately. Earth is honored by your invitation. Zara's smile held secrets. Before we discuss treaties and trade agreements, you must prove humanity worthy of Valkyrian partnership. We have a tradition for first-time visitors. She gestured toward the sky where other Valkyrians soared without wings, riding currents of crystalline energy that sparkled in the air. The dance of trust. You must follow me through our aerial currents. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Should mention, humans don't typically fly without mechanical assistance. Then you'll have to. Trust me completely. Zara extended her hand, and when Marcus took it, energy flowed between them like lightning made gentle. Careful, she said, pulling him closer as they began to rise. You'll fall for me? As they lifted off the platform, Marcus found himself pressed against her, feeling the warmth of her body and the electric thrill of flight. The crystal city spread below them in breathtaking beauty, but all he could focus on was the woman holding him aloft. Too late, Zara whispered against his ear as they soared between the crystal spires, her breath warm on his skin. Already have. The dance through the sky lasted only minutes, but Marcus felt something fundamental shift between them. When they landed on a high terrace, both were breathing hard, and the space between them seemed charged with more than just residual energy. Impressive for a human, she said, not stepping back. Perhaps these negotiations will be more interesting than expected. Marcus met her gaze steadily. Your Majesty, I have a feeling this is just the beginning. The Garden of Secrets, the morning. After the aerial dance, Marcus woke in his crystal guest quarters, with every muscle aching, and his mind replaying the sensation of soaring through Valkyrian skies with Zara. Pressed against him, a soft chime announced a visitor, and he opened the door to find the queen herself. No longer in ceremonial robes, but wearing flowing pants and a fitted top that highlighted her otherworldly beauty. Good morning, Captain. I thought you might enjoy seeing the heart of our world before our formal negotiations begin. Marcus quickly dressed and followed her through corridors that pulsed with gentle light. They emerged onto a platform where a smaller crystal craft waited, organic in design and translucent as spun glass. Where are we going? Marcus asked as they lifted off. Somewhere private, Zara replied, her fingers dancing over controls that responded to her touch like living things. Somewhere we can speak freely. The craft carried them beyond the city to floating islands suspended in the upper atmosphere. As they approached the largest island, Marcus gasped. Gardens of impossible beauty cascaded over crystal formations, with plants that seemed to be made of living light and flowers that sang in harmonious chimes when the wind touched them. "This is my personal sanctuary," Zara explained as they landed. "Few outsiders have ever seen it. They walk through paths lined with luminescent blossoms, their shoulders occasionally brushing. The air here held a different quality, intimate and peaceful."
Out.
When they reached a grove where crystal trees formed a natural amphitheater, Zara turned to face him. "Tell me about Earth," she said, settling on a bench carved from single emerald crystal. Not the diplomatic version, the real Earth. Marcus found himself describing his homeworld with more passion than he'd ever shown in official briefings. He spoke of oceans and forests, of human cities that grew chaotically but with purpose, of art and music, and the messy beauty of human emotion. "Your species fascinates me," Zara said, moving closer. "Valkyrians are logical, controlled. We make decisions based on crystal-clear reasoning, but humans, ... She reached out to trace a finger along his jaw. "You make choices with your hearts. Is that why you brought me here? To study human irrationality?" "No," her voice dropped to a whisper. "I brought you here because last night, for the first time in my life, logic failed me completely." Their faces were inches apart when Marcus's communicator buzzed urgently. General Corvin's voice crackled through the device, speaking rapid Valkyrian. Zara's expression shifted instantly from intimate to alarmed. "What is it?" Marcus asked. "Rebel. Attack on the outer colonies." Zara stood quickly, her royal demeanor returning. "They're targeting the crystal mines we were going to include in our trade agreements." As they rushed back to the craft, Marcus caught her hand. "Zara, what we were just... We'll have to wait," she said, but her grip lingered on his. "Duty calls. Captain, for both of us." During the flight back to the palace, they maintained professional distance. But Marcus couldn't ignore the charged atmosphere between them. When Zara piloted them through a storm system, her concentrated expression and skilled hands mesmerized him. Every accidental touch as the craft bucked through turbulence sent electricity through both of them. "The rebels chose their timing well," Zara said as the palace came into view. "They know these negotiations could change everything." "Then we can't let them succeed," Marcus replied, then added more quietly. "We can't let them destroy what's starting between us." Zara's hands stilled on the controls for a moment. "Is that what you want? Something between us? More than I've ever wanted anything?" he admitted. Her smile was radiant and dangerous. "Then we'll have to make sure nothing stops us." The Crystal Cavern rescued 3 days into the formal negotiations, Marcus had learned that Valkyrian politics were as complex as their crystal technology. The trade agreements progressed smoothly, but the growing attraction between him and Queen Zara created undercurrents that everyone could sense, but nobody dared mention directly. General Corvin had been increasingly hostile, making pointed comments about humans during every session. Marcus suspected the general had his own agenda, but couldn't prove it. What he didn't expect was walking into an ambush while touring the crystal processing facilities. The rebels struck during the shift change, using the noise of machinery to mask their approach. Marcus found himself surrounded by armed Valkyrians, whose armor bore none of the royal insignias. Their leader, a scarred warrior named Vex, smiled coldly. "The human diplomat," Vex said in accented English. "Take him." The rebels transported Marcus through a maze of natural caves beneath the crystal mines. Their destination, a vast underground cavern where rebel forces had established a hidden base. They chained him to a crystalline formation that seemed to dampen his strength and cloud his thinking. "Why capture me?" Marcus asked when Vex returned hours later. "Killing me would be more effective if you want to stop the Alliance." "Dead martyrs inspire revenge," Vex replied. "But a rescued diplomat who owes his life to rebel mercy might be more sympathetic to our cause. And if I'm not?" Vex's smile turned cruel. "Then perhaps your queen will make poor decisions trying to save you." Meanwhile, in the palace, Zara paced her war room like a caged predator. When scouts confirmed Marcus's location in the Forbidden Caverns, General Corvin immediately advised caution. "Your Majesty, the caves are unstable. You should negotiate." No, Zara's voice carried absolute authority. I'm going after him. It's too dangerous. Send a full military unit. The caverns would collapse under that much movement. This requires precision, not force. Zara was already donning her combat gear, armor that flowed over her body like liquid mercury. I'll take a small team. Why risk yourself for one human? Zara's eyes blazed, because he's not just any human. The rescue team consisted of Zara and 3 of her most trusted warriors. They descended into the cavern system through hidden entrances known only to the royal family. Moving silently through passages that glowed with natural crystal formations, the rebels had chosen their position well. The chamber where they held Marcus was accessible only through a narrow bridge over an underground chasm. But they hadn't counted on Zara's intimate knowledge of the cave system. She found Marcus chained and injured, but alive. His diplomatic composure cracked, but his spirit unbroken. Their eyes met across the cavern, and the relief on both their faces was unmistakable. Careful, Marcus called softly as she approached. You'll fall for me. Too late, she whispered back, beginning to work on his bonds. Already have. The rescue itself was a masterpiece of Valkyrian combat precision. Zara moved through the rebels like liquid lightning, her weapons extensions of her will. When Vex cornered them on the crystal bridge, Marcus surprised everyone by grabbing a rebel weapon and fighting alongside her despite his injuries. You fight well for a diplomat, Zara said as they pressed back to back against their attackers. You inspire me, Marcus replied, covering her flank as she dealt with the remaining rebels. In the aftermath, as they waited for reinforcements in the safety of the upper caves, Zara tended to Marcus's wounds with gentle hands. The intimacy of the moment, heightened by shared danger, made the air between them electric. You came for me, he said, catching her hand as she cleaned a cut on his forehead. Did you doubt I would? I hoped. He pulled her closer, and this time, neither duty nor protocol interrupted them. Their first kiss was desperate and sweet. Tasting of danger survived and feelings finally acknowledged. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Zara, ... I know, she said, resting her forehead against his. This complicates everything. Worth it, though. Her smile was radiant in the crystal light. Definitely worth it. The Night of Confessions, the traditional festival of stellar convergence, painted Valkyrie's sky in ribbons of aurora light, celebrating the rare alignment of 3 nearby star systems. The palace gardens had been transformed into a wonderland of floating crystal lanterns and luminescent flowers that responded to music with cascades of color. Marcus watched the celebration from his balcony, still recovering from the rescue mission 3 days prior. His injuries were healing well thanks to Valkyrian medical technology. But the emotional aftermath of nearly dying and being saved by Zara lingered in every interaction between them. Brooding suits you, Captain. He turned to find Zara approaching, wearing a gown that seemed woven from the aurora itself. The fabric shifted colors as she moved, and her silver hair was adorned with tiny crystal stars that caught and reflected the festival lights. Just thinking, Marcus replied, unable to look away from her ethereal beauty. About duty, politics, and incredibly beautiful alien queens who risked their lives for stubborn human diplomats. Flattery will get you everywhere, she said, joining him at the balcony railing. But tonight isn't about politics or duty. Tonight is about celebrating the harmony of distant worlds. Below them, Valkyrian couples danced to music that seemed to come from the very air itself. The aurora grew brighter as the stellar alignment reached its peak, bathing everything in otherworldly light. Dance with me, Zara said, extending her hand. I should warn you, human dancing is considerably less graceful than flying. Then teach me. They moved to the balcony's center, where crystal acoustics amplified the festival music. Marcus pulled Zara into his arms, showing her the simple rhythm of a human waltz. Her natural grace adapted instantly, but she stayed pressed close against him, claiming she needed to feel the steps through his body. Is this how humans show affection? She asked, her voice soft against his ear as they swayed together. One way, Marcus murmured back, his hands finding the small of her back. But we have others, Show me. Instead of answering with words, Marcus lifted his hand to cup her face, his thumb tracing the elegant line of her cheekbone. In the aurora light, her skin seemed to glow from within. When he kissed her this time, it was gentle and thorough, a promise rather than desperation. "I love you," he whispered against her lips, the words escaping before he could stop them. Zara pulled back to look at him, her violet eyes wide. "Marcus, ... I know it's impossible. I know there are a dozen reasons why this can't work. Different species, different worlds, political complications." "Stop." She pressed her fingers to his lips. "Do you know what Valkyrians call this stellar alignment? The night of impossible things. When three stars dance together, despite gravity trying to pull them apart." She moved closer, her body aligning perfectly with his. "I love you too, completely, impossibly, and without caring about the consequences." Their second kiss was deeper, hungry, full of all the emotion they'd been holding back. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless and trembling. "What happens now?" Marcus asked, his forehead resting against hers. "Now we dance until dawn and pretend the rest of the universe doesn't exist." They moved together under the aurora, sometimes dancing, sometimes simply holding each other as they watched the stellar alignment reach perfect synchronization. During quiet moments, they shared stories of their childhoods, their dreams, their fears about the future. "My council expects me to marry for political alliance," Zara confessed, as they sat together on a crystal bench, her head on his shoulder. "And Earth expects me to maintain professional distance from foreign dignitaries. We're terrible at following expectations." "The worst," Marcus agreed, pressing a kiss to her hair. "What do we do about that?" Zara lifted her head to meet his eyes. "We figure it out together, no matter what anyone else says." As the first rays of Valkyrie's primary sun began to lighten the sky, mixing with the fading aurora, they made their way back inside. At the door to Zara's chambers, they hesitated, both knowing that crossing this threshold would change everything irrevocably. "Are you sure?" Marcus asked, though his hands were already tangled in her hair. "Completely sure," Zara replied, pulling him inside. "Careful, though. You might fall for me completely." "Too late," Marcus whispered as the door closed behind them. "Already have." The choice of hearts, the emergency council session, convened at dawn, shattering the intimate peace Marcus and Zara had found in each other's arms. General Corvin's announcement fell like a hammer blow in the crystal chamber. Diplomatic. "Council has ordered Captain Kane's immediate recall. They cite concerns about his objectivity in these negotiations." Marcus felt Zara's hand find his under the council table, her fingers intertwining with his as she maintained perfect royal composure. "On what grounds?" she asked coldly. "Reports of inappropriate personal involvement with Valkyrian leadership," Corvin continued, his satisfaction barely concealed. "They're sending replacement negotiators within the week." "Inconveniently," added Elder Thane, one of the most conservative Valkyrian nobles. "Our own protocols suggest the Queen should consider more suitable marriage alliances. The Nethari Empire has renewed their proposals." Words hung in the air like poison. Marcus felt Zara's grip tighten on his hand, the only sign of her inner turmoil. "This session is adjourned," Zara announced, rising with fluid grace. "Captain Kane, please accompany me." They walked in silence through corridors that had witnessed their growing love, past gardens where they'd shared first kisses, until they reached Zara's private chambers. Only when the doors sealed behind them did her composure crack. "They planned this," she said, her voice trembling with fury. "Corvin, the elders, probably your own council. They're using our feelings against us, Zara." Marcus reached for her, but she pulled away, pacing like a caged predator. "Don't you see? They're forcing us to choose between love and duty, between our hearts and our people." "Then we choose both," Marcus said firmly. "We find another way." "What other way?" She whirled to face him. "You'll return to Earth, marry some suitable human diplomat. I'll be pressured into political alliance with the Nethari. Our worlds will have their treaty, and we'll have nothing," Marcus finished quietly. "We'll have nothing." For a moment they stood separated by the width of the room and the weight of impossible choices. Then Marcus crossed to her, cupping her face in his hands despite her resistance. "I won't go," he said simply. "I'll resign my commission, request asylum, anything. I'm not leaving you. Can't abandon Earth for me. Earth will survive. Without one more diplomat. But I won't survive without you." Tears that sparkled like liquid crystal ran down Zara's cheeks. "And I won't watch you sacrifice everything for a love that might not be enough." "Then we make it enough," Marcus said fiercely. "We prove that love can be stronger than politics, that two people from different worlds can build something that benefits everyone." "How?" Before Marcus could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the palace. They rushed to the main viewer, where long-range sensors showed a massive fleet approaching Valkyrian space. Ships bearing the insignia of the Nathari Empire. "They're not here for negotiations," Zara breathed, recognizing the military formation. General Corvin burst into the chamber, his expression grim but unsurprised. "Your Majesty, the Nathari demand immediate audience. They claim violation of previous marriage compacts." "You told them?" Zara accused, her voice deadly quiet. "You told them about Marcus and me." Corvin's silence was answer enough. "Then you forced our hand," Marcus said, stepping beside Zara. Emergency session of the full council. 20 minutes later, the Great Crystal Chamber held representatives from both human and Valkyrian governments. All gathered via quantum communication to witness what would either be the greatest diplomatic disaster in galactic history or something unprecedented. "Honored counselors," Zara began, her voice carrying absolute authority. "Recent events have made clear that traditional diplomatic protocols are insufficient for the challenges our worlds face together." She moved to stand beside Marcus, taking his hand openly before the assembled leaders. "Captain Kane and I have formed a personal bond that transcends mere alliance. We propose something new, not just a trade agreement between our peoples, but a union that makes us family." The uproar was immediate. Human counselors shouted about protocol violations, while Valkyrian nobles demanded adherence to ancient marriage laws.
Marcus.
Through it all, Marcus and Zara stood united, their joined hands. A symbol of defiance against centuries of tradition. "Enough." Zara's commands silenced the chamber. Love is not a weakness to be exploited or a tool to be manipulated. Captain Marcus Kane has proven his worth not just as Earth's representative, but as the man who would risk everything for Valkyrie's future. "And Queen Zara Nethys," Marcus added, his voice carrying to every corner of the chamber, "has shown that true leadership means choosing hope over fear, love over convenience." Elder Thane rose slowly. "Your Majesty, the consequences of this choice will be ours to bear," Zara finished. Together. The vote, when it came, was closer than expected. Earth's council, faced with losing their most skilled negotiator and potentially triggering an interstellar incident, grudgingly approved the unprecedented union. Valkyrian nobles, seeing the genuine devotion between their queen and the human hood helped save their colonies from rebellion, chose love over ancient prejudices. As the session ended and the Nathari fleet withdrew in frustrated defeat, Marcus and Zara found themselves alone in the crystal chamber, where their story began. "Careful," Marcus said, pulling her into his arms. "You'll fall for me." "Too late," Zara whispered, her smile radiant with joy and relief. "Completely and utterly too late." Their kiss was witnessed by the slowly setting suns of 3-star systems. A perfect alignment of impossible love made real through courage, sacrifice, and the simple human belief that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the odds. The galaxy would remember their choice as the moment when two worlds became one family. But Marcus and Zara would remember it as the night they chose each other over everything else in the universe. And it was worth it.